Hey, history sluts, before we get into this week's episode, we've got an announcement. We're adding a new London date for our October tour. Finn vs. History Live is coming to the Shepherd's Bush O2 on Wednesday, 29th of October.
This is people finding out about it.
Tickets go live when?
Thursday, 12th of June. If you're a patron, you can access the pre-sale on Wednesday, 11th of June.
Hackney Empire sold out in 24 hours, so see this as your warning. Thursday the 12th is 10 a.m. general sale, but the pre-sale for patrons is Wednesday the 11th of June at 10 a.m. There are also still some tickets available for the Edinburgh Fringe date on the 8th of August and Newcastle on the 12th of October.
But until then,
Welcome back to Finn vs. History. As ever, I'm joined by Horatio Gould.
Cheshire Coco makes me go loco.
And today we are dealing with the Aztecs.
Azteca.
It's the start of an epic series, potentially 5 episodes.
Wow.
I'll believe that when I see it.
Yeah, if Gaddafi's 4 and this is 5, then something's gone terribly
Something's gone very wrong. This is a disgrace. The Aztecs, for those who don't know, is the story of how a kind of quite an uppity, forthright people are conquered by the Spanish and made. That's how you get lazy Mexicans.
It's true.
That's really, this is what I care about history, is the history of racial stereotypes.
Well, I know, but this is a period when neither the Spanish or the Mexicans were being lazy.
Yes, so it's
sort of like two deers rucking, banging their heads.
The past is a foreign country. Two deers rutting, getting brain damage.
Yeah, right. They hit their heads so hard together.
Yeah, okay. Are you into the Aztecs?
I'm into the Aztecs.
This is I imagine that kind of your wet dream is that in the sort of marshlands of like Leighton Forest, they'd find a Bronze Age civilization.
100%.
And you'd be like, oh, let's preserve it. And I'd be like, burn it all, ruin it, weird freaks.
The historical side of you would be you're a witch, the witch finder with a big hat.
Yeah.
You're kind of at the top of a boat.
Red coat, big hat. That's me.
You're putting the flag down.
Yeah.
But
Fuck
I'm
off.
behind with lots of little boxes and my glasses go, oh, a butterfly.
Burn the butterfly.
Yeah.
So
I'm very jealous that they got to find this first, though, because you can't really find any more. It's hard to find new stuff these days.
I listen to the same song basically on repeat. The same music.
Tom Jones.
Tom Jones. The best of Tom Jones. Haven't found a better album than the best of Tom Jones in the last 5 years. I haven't looked. Why would I? When the best of Tom Jones is free.
Well, because a lot of the big stuff's been found,
I've got it on CD, I've got it on cassette, I've got it on vinyl.
Doesn't matter where you are.
It doesn't matter where I am.
But that's why you've got Graham Hancock now, just making stuff up.
Who's that?
You know pseudo-historian Graham Hancock? And I love watching his shows, to be honest.
Sorry, can I just say that us throwing pseudo-historian out
it's a disgrace.
It's big.
You've seen this guy. He's on Joe Rogan all the time.
Oh, I know this guy. Yeah. He's the guy who talks about the pyramids.
Yeah, and it's great. And to be honest, it's like, I love watching. There is making up history. Well, I mean, this is what this show is. So
yeah. What are you talking about?
I mean, there's a big appeal of watching his shows just for him. You're just waiting. When are you going to say something absolutely mental? Because he says stuff that's completely reasonable. All right, why is everyone calling you mental? And then he'll be like, this means the aliens built
the pyramids.
The pyramids 50,000 years ago. And all right, Graham.
And Rogan goes, yeah, right. Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah, wow.
There's also that guy, Roy Cassandra or Roy...
Yes.
I get his clips a lot.
Yeah.
He's fucking mad.
Oh, I love him as well, because, he's clearly had a glance at the stuff, and that's enough.
But he
huge sweeping generalizations. Yeah. That's what I like for my historians, is not getting bogged down in detail.
Charlie's just Googling, is he still alive? Yes, he's still alive, Charlie.
It's just an old photo.
Right. Charlie started, before we started the record, we said, right, it's Aztecs today. And Charlie went, who the fuck are they?
What do you know about the Aztecs, Charlie?
There was a Tintin book about the Aztecs, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And
Prisoners of the Sun.
I think Tintin wins.
Yeah, I think that's the plot of every Tintin book. Tintin wins. So this is the start of an epic series.
Yep.
2 weeks on the Aztecs. Where are we in the world? This is Mexico, right?
Right. So where should we set? Yeah, this is in Mexico.
So Mexico. Now I've never been there. Have you been to Mexico?
I haven't been to Mexico.
No, it's not on my list.
No.
I've been to Spain.
You get it.
I get it. I get it. It's hot. You have a little sleep. In my head, it's a dustier Spain.
Sort of. I mean, there's amazing jungles down in the south, I think.
I'm not.
near the
I'm not
Yucatan Peninsula.
I'm not a man who's in
No.
going to jungles.
You have no interest in the jungles?
No.
What do you have an interest in?
Sorry?
What do you have an interest in?
Countryside.
That's enough.
Yep.
That's fine for me.
Yep.
This stuff does throat my goat for sure. Just because there's a lot of stuff. I guess there's a lot of. Do you feel an immense tragedy at the things that are lost and the things that we'll never find again?
I do think
Do you find like a melancholy?
Charlie just googled Mexico's fattest baby.
This is Super Antonio.
Super Antonio.
Right.
Do you know what? Do you know what? I take it back. I'd love to go to Mexico. I'd love to go and see. My God, that's a big baby. The thigh gap on that baby is negative, I'd say. He's born in Cancun, weighing 14.5 pounds at birth. This is after the Aztecs.
Is Cancun around during the Aztec Empire? I don't know. I don't know if it was a party strip back in the day.
That's spring break. Place, isn't it? That's basically what happens. Is that the Spanish find
it's sort of like Zante.
Yeah,
sort of.
they find these indigenous people having a massive spring break, and they go, "We got to break this up. This is a disgrace." Bonnie Blue's there is trying to fuck all the Aztecs. No, Cancun. I don't think.
It'd be quite interesting to do a sort of Bonnie Blue, but instead it's with human sacrifice, because that's probably their most similar thing. Is 100 guys get their heads chopped off.
I killed 100. I sacrificed 100 warriors in a day. Sign up to my OnlyFans to see it all. And I guess it'd be a similar journey. I've not watched the Russian novel that is Bonnie Blue fucking 100 men in a day.
But I want to start from the beginning.
I'm not sure how long the edit is. Is it a whole full 24 hours? Is it compressed?
Are they doing a tight cut? Are they cutting out all
You'd be annoyed if you didn't.
Are they cutting out the fat?
You'd be annoyed if you didn't make the edit, didn't you?
Well, I'd probably watch
1,000 men in a day?
She's doing something with 1,000, yeah. I think she's going to...
Has she done 1,000? She did 1,000.
She's planning on doing 1,000.
No, I think she has done 1,000.
But they banned her for it.
Who
banned her?
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans have banned Bonnie Blue. 1,057. God, she had some change as well. Christ. 1,057 and 24 hours.
I think I'd watch it, like test cricket highlights when they make those 8-minute cuts.
Yeah.
So it's a long day.
Oh, no, I'd watch the hour. I'd want some coverage in there as well. I'd want some analysis. I'd want someone to come in and just, if someone had done a particularly crisp off drive up Bonnie Blue, I'd want Isha Gua to tell me how they managed it.
But we're not here to talk about cricket.
I'd love someone to do a mashup of Test Match Special over some porn videos, please.
This is what, whenever we start talking about the ancient world, this is what happens.
I'd absolutely love to see Jonathan Agnew talking over Bonnie Blue getting railed. I'd love that.
Do you think that any of them
there.
genuinely had feelings for her? Do you think any of them sort of maybe actually quite liked her or even loved her?
Well, I mean, the sample size is so big, you'd assume most things are possible. There's 1,057 men. That's a huge amount. Some of them are going to think, I think she really liked me.
I mean, they do less for the census. Genuinely.
This is sort of like the Doomsday Book, but a modern day Doomsday Book, isn't it?
Fucking Bonnie.
A census.
Yeah, I mean, it would be funny to combine the two. And
what? Yeah, because it's hard to get 1,000 people. I mean, admittedly, you're probably getting a certain demo.
Do you think Bonnie
it's like if you're doing a voters poll and it comes out, it looks like reform's on the rise, or like whatever. It's like it's not really.
Turns out it's a focus group. Anyway, listen.
We're not here to talk about Bonnie Blue.
We're
here to talk about
Test
the
Match
Aztecs, or as they called themselves, the Mexica. And so a lot of this story, it's blended with myth. The Spanish have told their stories. Most of these people have died, so it's hard to know too much what actually happened. But
there have been some histories recently of people who have learned the indigenous language Nahuatl. Nahuas, who spoke Nahuatl. Now what you're talking about?
That's me when someone speaks
Nahuatl.
What you're talking
about. Hey, Britta, now what you're talking about. I mean, they're close to the Caribbean.
Yeah, it's true.
So the Nahuas, they spoke Nahuatl.
Yeah.
But they called themselves the Mexica.
Yes.
So in this episode, we'll be dealing with who the Aztecs were.
Yep.
And then in the rest of the series, we will learn how the empire.
So this is
the first colonial story.
Yeah, this is going to be what it was like before Cortez landed, before they met, basically.
The prelapsarian bliss.
Yes.
Of a savage people. Fucking killing and eating each other.
I think to start this
those
story
poor
off,
innocent cannibals conquered by the awful Spanish with their tapas and their strips
well, you
of
can
nightclubs.
combine the two, maybe a cannibal tapas.
Cannibal tapas.
That's because that's blending. That's like the banh mi. It's when colonial power
Yes,
that
you're
blends
right.
culturally.
Yeah.
They should just have like little small plates of little fingers to start.
Yeah. Yeah, I think fingers would be like cocktail sausages.
Yeah, you
wouldn't
could
they?
maybe have like a bit bigger when you get the thigh, like a pork belly type thing going on.
A thigh is like a suckling pig. That's the main course.
Yeah, but if you cut it up small enough.
Oh, I see little chunks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that. I think let's start with.
I think the first thing to talk about when we talk about the Aztecs as to why they developed differently. Basically, can we get up the spread of humans throughout the world? There's a map.
That sounds like a clever Charlie. Google.
Yeah. Or by the way, we've parachuted in another Charlie who I found out and about because our Charlie's so fucking thick. We had to get another Charlie in.
Yeah. Now his voice is being distorted for political reasons.
Charlie, do you want to introduce yourself? Do you want to introduce other Charlie?
This is other Charlie.
This is clever Charlie.
What's up?
This is
Right.
another Charlie we got in who actually knows anything about history. And even speaking to Stupid Charlie before this episode, I said, have you ever looked up once the topic that we're talking about? And he's never has.
No.
Never once. I mean, what I like about Stupid Charlie is that he waits to find out about topics on air.
Yeah. No, he's got no idea what's
It's more
going on.
interesting that way.
There you go.
Brilliant. So I guess what makes this such an extraordinary story about the two worlds meeting is because the Americas and the Eurasian kind of world have been separated maybe like 10,000 years ago, right? And the spread of humanity has come maybe from Africa. It goes up through Asia. It went through Europe, and then it crosses into the Americas 15,000 years ago over the Bering Land Bridge, which
Yes.
is Alaska when it connected with Russia.
Yeah.
So that means the reason why the Aztecs are probably at, I don't know, maybe like a Sumerian level of development compared to the Europeans
Yep.
or countries in Asia is because they literally...
They're very thick.
Yeah.
They're thick Asians
Right.
who got lost wandering from Asia.
yeah,
And then the land bridge collapsed.
Yeah.
And they were sort of left
They
stranded.
got left stranded there. They had horses.
Thankfully, some clever people came along in 1519 and saved them from themselves.
Yeah, they did have horses, but they didn't view them as things you could ride, so they just ate them. till
They
died.
didn't have horses.
No, they just ate all their
Oh
horses.
right. So in
So
15,
they over-farmed their horses.
I see. Right. Okay.
They didn't invent wheels. Well, they might have invented wheels, actually. That's a misconception. They didn't invent wheels.
Right.
Because some of the children's toys that they found from like Aztecs
I
had
know
little wheels
that's
on.
the Incas.
No,
but
no,
the-
'cause-
the-
no. They didn't have wheels. They had little wheels.
No, the Incas supposedly were a couple of generations away from inventing the wheel because they had put little wheels on toys. But the
Right.
Aztecs had no
not even a
toys.
clue.
No. They
Yeah.
had no clue. No. They just had steps.
They love steps.
Yeah.
They
It
love
was a
rolling.
very ableist culture, the Aztecs.
Yeah.
No ramps.
Yeah, to be fair, there was no accessible access
No.
to any of these pyramids.
No.
And also, it's interesting that a culture that loves chopping a head off and rolling it down the stairs didn't see that motion as inspiring the wheel.
Yeah. They were very
Because
close.
I'd be looking at that, I'd be like, there's something.
They were very close to the slinky, I believe. Very close. Every now and then they'd chop a dick off at the top and it would sort of like slink its way down the steps. But they
So
didn't quite
it's-
put two
yeah.
and two together.
It's a patchwork of different tribes, similar to like the Germanic tribes in the Roman Empire, right? And I guess the Mexica people who end up being the Aztecs, they started in what would currently maybe like New Mexico, Utah area, potentially.
Yeah, ironically, it's very old Mexico, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but that was in the desert, so it was rubbish.
Yes.
So they walked down to Lake Texcoco. Is that where they arrived?
Now, the pronunciation, there's a
Yeah.
word on pronunciation. And also, now, Texaco, Charlie, that's not the petrol station, that's Texaco.
But imagine that's lit. No, that's not
I
lit.
guess. So they find this glowing, massive forecourt, hundreds of miles from New Mexico, and they think, fuck me, what's that?
Yeah.
And the night counter's open, and they can get some chocolate bars.
But they have to be behind the glass panel,
Yeah.
and they have to point. No,
And they
not
go,
that one.
No, that one. Hey,
Not that
cabron,
one.
cabron.
Have you
Por
ever
favor.
been at one of those petrol stations and the person at the counter doesn't speak any English,
Yes, I
and
mean,
you're having to point, not even
Yeah.
at,
it's like battleships. It's like you have to go.
D6.
No, I want the family-sized Yorkie. My dad.
You have family? No, I
Family,
don't have a
no,
family.
my family's not in the
I'm
car.
very upset. I'm
Yeah.
very depressed.
I've driven away from my family to buy some chocolate. My dad, where I think I get some of my eating habits from is my dad.
Your dad's quite a slender man, isn't he?
He is now.
Yeah.
He was a portly gent back in the day.
So is portly, does that imply a little bit of, is there a bit of class to that sort of fat?
There's a jolliness. It's before it becomes depressing and sort of you're getting cranes and stuff.
Yes,
Portly's an upper class fat gentleman.
And in many ways, the portliness is an old school thing because fat people have got a lot less fun recently.
They're lippy now.
They're very lippy. They used to be.
They need to be lippy.
Culturally and across.
Liposuctionally. That's what I was.
But culturally, even at this time, across, you go back in time, the fat person was the jester of the group. It was the jolly one, right?
You'd rub his belly for luck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But now that's the whingy one.
Now
saying,
you do that and
you need to treat me as attractive as skinny people. Yeah. Well, how about you have sex with fat people? No, because they're fucking disgusting.
No, it's disgusting.
That was my favourite thing about the body positivity movement. It's like, well, if big is so beautiful, then why don't you just keep...
When you fuck a mirror... When you fuck each other? Oh, I can't because we'd start a bushfire. I don't know. The phrase portly kink doesn't have a widely recognised meaning or a fixed definition.
Well, I was just wondering if maybe like if you called somebody portly, could that ever be sexy?
No, it's a chubby chaser. I think
it's not like a sexy.
It's a portly ass white girl.
Yeah.
Portly ass white girl. Anyway, my dad was a portly ass white girl in his 30s and 40s, and what he would do is, firstly, he'd come back from work and with his backpack still on would make toast, even though my mum was like, dinner will be 20 minutes. He's like, yeah, I know. And he needed toast as like a barrier to separate the work day from the home
toast.
Toast. He'd have some toast, 2 slices of toast.
Wow, God, I'm really off the clock now. I'm eating toast.
Toast. Then he'd have dinner. And then he'd be on the sofa, and at about 9 p.m, he'd go, I just need to go and fill up the car for tomorrow. And we'd be like, the car's, I'm pretty sure there's a full tank of petrol in there, Dad. And he'd be like, no. He would go to the petrol station and buy a family-sized bar of dairy milk.
And then just eat it in the car?
No, he'd come back and eat it. And he'd be like, well, while I was there, I got some chocolate. And we're like, Dad, the petrol has not gone down at all in 3 weeks. He would just go and have a family-sized bar of dairy milk from the night counter at the local petrol station.
Was there a point where he decided to not be identified as portly anymore?
I think a doctor told him that this was... his cholesterol was maybe taking a hit from the nightly. Anyway, the Aztecs.
So they arrive in this like
amazing glittering forecourt Texaco. They think, "Fuck me, £1.23 for unleaded. What's this? The 90s? Incredible scenes. It's pre 9/11 petrol prices. Yeah. We should place this actually. The whole Aztec story. I think we need to place 1519 is when the famous meeting happens.
Should we do it at that point? All right. Well, I want to say that is before the invention of the wristwatch.
Yes, that is.
And I think it's after the invention of the sundial.
We've done that one.
Have we done sundial?
We've done literally sundial and wristwatch. We've done it. We've done it.
All right. It's before the invention of the brogue.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. And it's after the invention of the slipper?
Here we go. When were slippers invented?
Well, there's going to be a proto-slipper, isn't there?
10,000 years. 10,000. Okay, fine. Slippers are 10,000 years old. So the Aztecs probably had slippers. We know this much. Yeah.
But then we don't know what they had because when they don't have all the same shit we have. It is a completely different world. So unlike most times where when we talk about inventions of things that spread along the Silk Roads,
the Aztecs don't have pajamas. They sleep.
Right.
They sleep in the. How do they sleep?
Naked.
I reckon they sleep like sort of upside down, hanging from rafts or something.
Well, because they haven't learned.
Terrifying people.
They haven't learned that.
They haven't learned that that's actually very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So the Mexica, they find this glittering petrol station, and so
it's this beautiful lake which
Texaco.
Basically everyone's crammed in. Right. It's oversubscribed. It's like Glastonbury.
This is around sort of
it's like the last couple of it's around 1200. So this is maybe 200, 300 years before the Spanish arrive, and it's sort of like now that Glastonbury's so oversubscribed, and it's like they're giving up too many tickets this year.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like round Lake Texaco. All of these civilizations have taken up all the prime real estate on this lake.
Yeah,
the dirty Mexica arrived.
Don't call them. Come on.
No, but even within Aztec,
the dirty fat Mexicans.
Exactly.
Arrived.
So they've arrived with is there any way for us to stay? They're going round like fucking Mary in the inn, asking, "Can we stay here?" They say no, and they just get the shittest bit of land, which doesn't have much they can grow on. I think they actually go into the lake. That's where they start, right? Isn't that right, Clever Charlie? They go into the lake and they basically have to start
There's an
making a float.
There's an island on the lake.
Yes, like a marshy island, and they're like, well, that's the only good place left, right?
And this is the move to Lake Texcoco.
Texcoco.
This is around 1325. The Mexica camp on an island in the lake, and they witness an eagle with a snake in its beak landing on a cactus.
I feel like that's not that relevant.
And the eagle goes, ow, fuck. But the prophecy
Right.
it is actually entirely relevant because a prophecy had foretold they should build a city where they see an eagle with a snake landing on a cactus.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So it's
actually, not just
it's the most relevant thing we've said so far. That's not relevant. Talk about the petrol station. They say an eagle landed on a petrol station.
Probably bollocks.
That's probably complete bollocks.
Yeah.
I mean, most of this stuff is.
Bollocks actually sounds like an Aztec word almost.
Bolosh. That's one of their gods. Bolosh. And they begin building this insane city called Tenochtitlan.
Yeah.
Tenochtitlan is literally among the prickly pears growing among rocks.
Right. Well, that's not the best name, in my opinion. I feel there must have been. I feel don't have among twice.
Yeah.
In what your city's called.
But they're thick, as we've said. They're thick people. It's a sort of swampy, barren mess.
Yes.
It must smell disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
But it starts to grow into this gorgeous, almost Venice-like city.
Yes. They only get to that point after a couple hundred years where they are basically being subjected by the rulers of the lake. And like everyone is. What's going on?
And well, just thick Charlie's started Googling again. The Aztecs were living before the use of toilet paper, and they would have used a variety of natural materials for wiping, including leaves, grass, moss, and even corn cobs. Corn on the cob. Shove that up there, give that a twist. And I mean, that would do a job. I mean, the way a corn is ridged would be a very effective cleaning implement, I think. More of a toilet brush, I'd say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's more for tough stains.
Yes, seal it bang.
Did they wipe their bum having eaten the corn off the cob, or was the corn still on it when they wiped it?
Well, I think if the corn's off it and it's kind of quite a wiry husk, that's quite a good toilet brush, I'd say.
But do you have to use more than one cob, or do you just use one?
So anyway, the local powerhouse at this time is Azcapotzalco. Now, how the fuck are we saying that word?
Azcapotzalco.
Azcapotzalco.
Azcapotzalco. Ruled by the Tepanecs, much like the later Aztec Empire, they collect tribute from all nearby altepetles.
So the main problem with these fuckers is that they love sticking a T next to a P and an L.
They love it.
And I don't know what the fuck's going on.
They're mad for it.
But one of the great things Cortez does is it goes, listen, lads, separate those, put a fucking vowel in the middle of those two.
They hadn't come... Due to the Bering Land Bridge, they didn't take vowels over with them.
They didn't take vowels with them. So when
they didn't take wheels.
Mexicans are famously, their mind is blown by Carol Vorderman on Countdown. You got the idea that you can... What? They're going like, 10 consonants, please. You go, no... Stick a vowel there. 10 consonants, please, my friend.
Consonant.
Another consonant.
Consonant.
Yeah. See. Consonant. And then they go, yeah, that's my name.
Yeah.
But anyway.
And how it worked at this time is because they don't have easy ways to travel. Like they don't have horses, they don't have wheels.
Oh.
The way you'd maintain power, you can't really have this kind of, permeable thoroughfare between cities and stuff. Instead, you just send people around to collect tribute. That's kind of what it meant to be.
Tribute
an
means
empire.
taxes.
Taxes.
It's not like a George Michael lookalike.
Yes, it's not like a tribute band.
It's not like that David Brent tribute.
Who have you got for us today, David Brent? Oh, nice. No.
He goes to people's weddings. Have you seen that?
Yeah, he's all over the shop.
It's fucking hilarious.
Now the problem with this period is that no one's going to know any of these people.
No,
but it's just the general vibe, right?
No, essentially, look, there's a lot of fuckers with P's and T's and Z's and L's, and the Triple Alliance is the thing that's the main thing, right?
Yeah.
Because this is the start of the Aztec Empire. So the Aztecs, to recap, they found a big petrol station. They've come down from what's now New Mexico. They've set up a city on a grotty island in the middle of the lake. And they're outsiders, and they're seen as uncivilized kind of barbarians.
Yeah.
And they start to dominate the surrounding tribes.
This is when the montage in the film starts.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the rise and fall, right?
Yeah.
This is like everything's going well. The numbers are going great.
So the Mexica start. They're kind of subservient to the Tepanecs.
Yes.
And then Chimalpopoca. His uncle is whatever the fuck that is. ITZC. Look, and then two vowels, lads.
Yeah. Right,
Pop a couple of hours in.
We have to agree for this episode. We're going to give
Each
it
coatl.
every single time it comes with a Mexican word. We got to give it our best shot.
I'm giving it my best.
Every single
Look,
time.
we did the same for the Chinese.
Yeah.
We'll give it the same for these fuckers.
There'll not be one word we won't try.
Chimal Popica's uncle Ishcoatl succeeds him, and if they sound pissed, it's about Ishcoatl. Succeeds him and leads a revolt against the Tepanecs. Now, so by 1430, the Mexica have allied with Texcoco, the petrol company, and Tlacopan.
The Triple Alliance.
And they overthrow
but the
Aztec
Triple Alliance doesn't sound very Mexican, does it? Doesn't sound very Aztec. The
That's
Triple
probably an anachronism.
Yeah, I
imagine
so.
they will.
The Triple Alliance sounds like something from World War One.
If you take the I, the E, and the other I, and
they
the A
wouldn't call
away,
it that.
They would have called it the TRPE, the TRPL. It does sound like Star Wars, doesn't it?
Yeah, they would have called it the snake eats the ham that killed the mum.
Yeah,
who lives under the stairs.
Yeah, let's build a city there. So the Mexica by 1430, they become the dominant force,
Which is a great turnaround.
It is.
From just turning around with like a satchel on your back, no one wanted to hang out with you at all, to basically overthrowing the rulers by uniting. And it is interesting to see the strength of these guys allying at this time with what's to come.
Is Mexico called Mexico because of Mexica?
Yeah, well done, genius. So,
but it's made easier so that because you're seeing how much. Imagine we're Spanish arriving here, struggling with these words. Well, let's just change that.
Yeah.
It is just literally adding vowels to.
And then in the 19th century, they went, do you know what? Let's call them something completely different. it's our viewpoint, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's call them the Aztecs.
Yeah.
And if you called an Aztec, they'd be like, ¿qué?
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 They wouldn't be like ¿qué?
Huh?
¿Qué is Spanish.
They would have gone. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, but that's the same people, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so.
If they're from the American Southwest.
Yeah,
they're American Indians that have become Mexica.
True. Yeah, but then would you say you're the same people as the Greeks?
No, I'm the same people as the whatever the British man in a suit that came out of an egg.
Right.
Came out of an egg
with a 3-piece suit
in Bedford in a 3-piece suit in the 12th century.
Right.
We descended from that.
Right.
We'll do the history of the British man in a separate episode. Yeah. So the Mexica are the dominant force, and they don't really centralise government because they can't, because they're a Bronze Age civilization.
Yep.
And they demand food, gold, and humans for sacrifice.
Now,
this is the big thing we should deal with, really.
Yeah, and I guess it's really the sacrifice thing was really played up by the Spanish as the reason what's justified, them fucking them up. But to be honest, because it's hard to know, because that's kind of the thing that most people know about the Aztecs, right? Is that they'd roll people's heads down pyramid steps, and often when you hear about that stuff, it's like, oh, this is completely overblown because it's more glamorous, it's more interesting, or it's because the Spanish are trying to do negative propaganda. But they did fucking love it.
Yeah, I mean,
to be fair,
it's sort of woke.
All the evidence points towards they fucking loved it.
They loved it, and I think it's woke revisionism to say that, it's kind of cultural relativism on steroids to say, well, that's just what they do, isn't it? Like, who are we to say stop this barbaric practice?
Yeah.
They didn't have steel or iron. They had
obsidian.
Obsidian, which is volcanic, like glass.
It's like a shard of glass. Yeah,
it's
a shard of
glass.
Yeah.
And they would fashion this into blades. And what they would do is they'd win a sort of war, and it's similar to the Zulu wars, and it's kind of like a ritualistic war where it's not really attacking people.
It's step up three.
It's a dance off. Yeah. Step up three. And they would take the people that they conquer. They take warriors, young, male, fit, athletic warriors, and they drag them up to the top of one of the big temples in Tenochtitlan, and they dye them with a blue dye, and they drug them. And then they'd just cut their heart out with a shard of glass.
I didn't know where you were going to go.
I was trying to sort of paint a picture, sort of poetic, but there's nothing poetic about it. It's absolute savagery. They'd cut a guy's heart out and then hold it up with it still beating.
Yeah.
And go like, blah, and then chuck it down the stairs.
Yeah.
And then they'd throw the bodies down the stairs.
Yeah, because they normally, that's the thing. They normally would not kill you in battle because you're so valuable as the sacrificial person. Because to them, from their worldview, the more people they sacrificed, the more likely it was that the sun would rise the next day.
It does kind of make sense if you don't know anything about anything. The sacrifice thing does kind of make sense.
Yeah, that's what I feel.
As in like a gift. It's just
you're coming at it from an angle of...
I've been to university. Yeah, if you're a fucking idiot, this sort of makes sense. That's not an argument, is it?
Yeah, but like if
But it was like they were like 15,000 years behind.
and it's terrifying. You're in this like
5,000 years. Probably.
you don't know where you are. It's like you're gonna give something to.
Yeah, because if someone's told you
How the
the
fuck should I-
sun
how
won't
the fuck-
rise if you don't do that,
How the
then
fuck should
you're
I know?
But also,
I'm a fucking idiot. How the fuck should I know?
just in defence of the human sacrifices.
Oh, here we go. Fucking more left wing nonsense.
Yeah, I don't want to piss off the base. I'm already getting a lot of comments now saying, "Did you see that recent comment? We talked about that. Was when the guy was like, I'm really starting to fucking hate Horatio, the effete,
Feet,
feminine cunt." It is funny how like we're now getting this podcast is getting accused of being woke.
Don't know.
This is
Yeah.
kind of the base we've started.
Yeah, I mean,
Now, if
yeah.
you
The thing is that you're
if you
never-
deviate from fascism for a second, it's like what
The thing is that
fucking hell is this?
unless we're just screaming the N word into the camera for an hour a day, we're always going to be outflanked by someone who wants that as entertainment. I've got to go to work. I want to hear white people shout the N word for an hour so that I can calm down.
Speaking of that, join the Patreon.
Yeah, the patrons where we do that. We've got a special the N word specials dropping this week. We do it in funny accents.
But they're instead of killing these people in battle, they're just killing them somewhere else. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I don't know about that.
What do you mean?
I do think it's barbaric.
Yeah.
I think.
To be fair, I would absolutely hate to be sacrificed.
Yes, because we should get into Aztec mythology.
Yeah.
The Aztecs believe that they're in the fifth era of life on Earth, the fifth sun,
The Fifth Reich.
the Fifth Reich, to give it its proper name. Oh God, imagine
Sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
there's no people. I'd do a John Lennon vote.
Imagine there's no Jews.
Diddle-do.
That is funny, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
Hitler
fifth-
version of Imagine.
Hitler version of Imagine. We should get
Filmed like that.
Yeah. Celebrities doing it during
Imagine
lockdown.
there's no gypsies,
Diddle-do.
no queers too.
Imagine all the Germans
Living's round for you.
Blood. Yeah. So what they do is, so they think that they're in the fifth sun. So what they think's happened.
Let's go for the first son.
Yeah, the first sun is now we're going to commit to this word. This is the
Go for it.
Naui Ocelotl, and the god is Tezcatlipoca.
Tezcatlipoca.
Tezcatlipoca. And the people are giants.
Fair enough.
And the sun ends because the giants are eaten by jaguars.
Cool.
So it was destroyed when Quetzalcoatl knocked him from the sky, and in retaliation, jaguars were released and devoured the people.
Quetzalcoatl is the big bird god, isn't he? He's their big boy, right?
We'll get onto the gods in a second. The second son is the Naui-Catl, and Quetzalcoatl transforms the people into monkeys.
Fair enough.
And then this is destroyed by hurricanes, and the people turn into monkeys because they disrespect the gods.
Fair enough.
The third son is the Nwahi. See, now there's too many vowels here. They cannot get a handle on, it's 5 consonants, 3 vowels.
Yep.
I'll have 5 from the top, 3 from the bottom, please count. What madman is going, I'll have 6 vowels and 1 consonant. Their god is Tlaloc, and these
Aztec
people...
countdown is nuts.
Aztec countdown's fucked. Rachel Riley's there going, come on, mate. The records go on for hours.
Ratchakoko Riley Kiki, wouldn't it?
Ratchakoko Riley Kiki. Tlaloc, the god of rain, rules this sun, and the people displease him, and he rains fire upon them. So the world enters in volcanic eruptions. The fourth sun, people turn into fish. And weirdly, though, it's destroyed by a flood. That doesn't make sense.
Yep.
If anything, that would have saved them. Anyway, it's all gibberish, really.
No, they get wiped out by a big flood, and the survivors turn into fish.
So is each sun basically how they are imagining we have fish and monkeys and fire?
I imagine so, yeah, probably.
So now they're in the fifth sun, and this is where people...
But they only covered like 3 things with that. Fish, monkeys, and fire.
But that's all they can see, because they think the world starts in Mexico.
Right.
Not even just a petrol station in Mexico. That's the whole world.
Yeah, but you're sort of talking about them
another
like they're
sun is where
like
they find
ignorant Philistines.
Yes.
It's like, see the world a bit, guys.
Well, yeah.
It's like they only just started like 15 minutes ago.
Well, how come the Spanish have got ships and steel?
I've just explained this.
What? Because they left all the vowels.
They arrived.
Yeah.
Like 15,000 years, maybe 20,000 years later than the Europeans did.
The problem is they didn't settle. They weren't sedentary. They were nomads. They kept wandering.
Yeah.
Fucking.
But also, they're not connected.
Down roots.
They're not connected to the Silk Road.
Stop renting, but get on the fucking housing ladder.
Right.
It's a waste of money.
Right.
Right. Anyway,
And this is
So
this is
the
current
current
one.
people in the fifth sun, and what they need to do to keep the sun rising and falling is they think the sun rises and falls depended on how much blood they give them.
Yeah.
So sacrifice is part of their sort of everyday. It's a ritual to try and make sure the sun rises
Cultural.
up.
It's an event.
Yeah, the Battle of Bosworth Day or whatever. Battle of the Boyne. It's in the Google calendar.
Right.
Kill a guy.
But it's more just like every weekend, isn't it?
Oh, it's like Bank Holiday Monday. We'll do
Yeah.
a few. Kill a few people.
Just Premier League football. It's just it's on. They break for the summer.
Super Sunday.
Yeah.
That's when there's two real big fuckers being sacrificed. Super Sunday. And I think in 1487 they build this the Templo Mayor, or the big temples.
Right.
And to celebrate opening it, they do a festival of sacrifice.
Brilliant.
There you go. The Templo Mayor, the Great Pyramid of Tenochtitlan, opens in 1487 and includes a large-scale ritual sacrifice with the Aztecs
Fuck me.
sacrificing an estimated 80,400 prisoners over 4 days. So, averaging
Wow.
15 per minute.
But they're going to have some star players, the star sacrifices.
This is where I start to get off the train of cultural relativism. For me, this is just a bit much. They would...
It's a bit rich for your blood.
It's a bit rich for my blood, all this stuff. What they do is they drag these people up, and they want basically the hotter the guy, the fitter the sacrifice, then the better for the god. So
is that in physical fitness?
You'd be fine.
But is it physical fitness or is it attraction?
Attractiveness.
Really?
Yeah. So attractive warriors were deemed as good sacrifice.
Right.
to the god.
Right.
So a god would be up there going, not that, I'll go. To get him away. I don't want that, cunt. I want the blood of the fit guy.
Yeah.
So, and they also, supposedly, they would sacrifice children to make it rain.
Well, you need rain
Yeah, fair's fair. You need it.
because you can't grow any food without rain.
I mean, we're recording this. There hasn't been proper rain for about 2 months, and my allotment is starving. The allotment's thirsty, and I do have children, but I'm.
But that's a last resort.
Yeah, it's an absolute last resort. I'm not sure.
We'll give it another week.
I think it's a contravention of allotment rules. I don't think our leisure garden society would tolerate child sacrifice on the premises.
Depends how long the drought goes on for.
We do have a big plot, though. There is space at the back end. And I know which one I would sacrifice at the minute.
Which one?
The older one's being a real cunt, apparently. She nearly sacrificed herself at the weekend, just ran into the road. Anyway, so they have this big festival.
80,000 is nuts.
80,000 in 4 days.
It's nuts.
A bank holiday weekend, 15 people killed per minute.
Now, are there superstar sacrifices? Like, is it like, he's one of the best? Like, the pace that these sacrifices needs to work at. Like, how many people are sacrificing?
Yeah.
There must be like a vet who's just unbelievable.
There's
they hold the heart out, right?
Yeah, and he goes,
Yeah.
Morty. And then they chuck the bodies down the steps, and this pile of bodies, and supposedly the blood is running thick and far, like a river of blood from the.
And 80,000, that's a lot of blood.
I think now the podcast I listen to, it starts to, at some point it stops being a ritualistic thing.
It stops being funny at some point.
At some point they're like, right, I'm getting a bit bored of this. I never thought I'd get bored of seeing a guy's heart cut out. It starts to become a political thing. It starts to basically become a sort
What was it before?
Well, it was just a bit of fun.
Oh, right, okay.
But then they start to use it as like a power play to control the other cities because they
Fair
can't.
play, I'm fucking terrified. Fair play to you.
They don't have the resources to go and conquer people properly.
Yeah.
And like keep people there, so they invite them over and say,
"Oh, that's nice. Invitation.
Come and see what we like to do in this city.
+1s, welcome.
+1s, bring your family, bring your friends. Have you got any hot young boys? Because it hasn't rained for a while." And then they just kill. They have this mass slaughter, and then the people go, "Yeah, I reckon we'll just give them what they want."
Yeah, fair enough.
Gold, is it?
And occasionally people.
So, hot young things were sacrificed. Raggedy old milfs. They didn't want. The gods didn't want them.
You're safe if you're a raggedy old milf.
No, they want a hot young boy. And the festival of fuck that. The festival. Go on.
Tlakashi
Tlakashi Pakalawali's Tili.
Right, both Charlies give it a go.
Go on.
Tlakashi Pawaletsli.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Go on, thick Charlie.
Tlakashi
Don't put a Mexican accent. It's the wrong accent.
Tlakashi Pakalawali's is held every spring, and victims were sacrificed. And this is something we haven't talked about.
Oh, spring! What a lovely time of year.
Oh, the buds of May. What should we do? Why don't we flay that guy's skin and wear it? They wore their victim's skin.
Right.
So bear in mind, you've got to skin a man with glass because they don't have steel.
Yes.
So if I had to skin someone, at
What would you
least
do?
I'm alive nowadays where we have the blades that you could do
Yeah.
it. They're using
Scalpels.
glass.
Yeah.
Like chunky glass. And they then wear the skins.
So true crime wouldn't really take off in the same way in Tenochtitlan Clan. Like
Because
I feel like a Jeffrey Dahmer doc. It's like
Yeah, your neighbour's Dharma.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
What?
understand.
That's just Roger. What the fuck are you
what
on
he
about?
wore his victim's skin on his face. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Tuesday. Of course he did. So they wore their skins sometimes inside out. There's like a drawing of a guy.
Or with the labels on the outside.
Yeah. No, it's all the nodules of fat have become like little bubbles, and so it looks like he's in bubble wrap, but it's actually a guy's skin inside out.
Right. It's a lovely little story, that.
10 horrifying things that would happen to you in an Aztec flaying ceremony.
Well, it's already pretty horrible.
Oh, so this
It's
is
a
what they
flaying
do.
ceremony.
So yeah, so they tie you to a big stone. This is
Right.
like a gladiatorial thing. They
Right.
tie you to a big stone, and then they give you some feathers, and then you'd have to fight someone who had a club with shards of glass in it.
That's a classic one.
They stick a giant straw where your heart used to be. Fucking hell! What? And then
Yeah. Well, they drinking it.
are they drinking it?
They make
Well,
robes out your skin. That's a classic.
They dance with your severed head. They nail your skull to the wall.
Fucking hell.
They make a stew out of your thigh meat.
Fuck
now,
me.
We do need to talk about the cannibalism.
Yes.
Because this is something they also do. And it's not really ritualistic. It's just sort of, they like it.
Right.
They're into
so
it.
there's no...
They weren't short of protein.
Were they not?
No, they had lots of corn, legumes,
Right.
tortillas they ate. They just, once they'd kill people, sacrifice them, and then the highest parts of the body, the best parts of the body, would go to the elites
Prime
of
cuts.
society. The prime cuts would go to elites of
It's
society.
like sirloin.
Arse.
Right.
Arse is the prime cut.
Is that actually the prime cut of a person?
Yes. For
Fatty.
the Aztecs, yeah. I used to have a routine about this years ago.
Go
But I wonder, you know how our grandparents now like cannot fathom veganism.
Right.
They're like, what the fuck's this?
Yeah.
This tofu nonsense.
Yeah. Just two veg, no
what
meat.
What the fuck's that? I wonder whether will we ever get to a point where we're like those granddads, where 2 generations below us, just cannibalism is just a thing, and we're
Right.
like, what the fuck? What
Right.
the fuck is that?
But in your head, you're seeing veganism as on like a
Yes,
slippery
I think-
slope
I-
to cannibalism.
I think it's morally the same. No, but I just wonder if cannibalism will ever we can't fathom what people see as progress in 100 years' time. We can't fathom it.
Right.
In the same way that Victorians would think we are, they'd think Nigel Farage is a woke idiot.
Yeah, but cannibalism is like what you start with, right? You have to learn that cannibalism is bad.
No, but
Right.
we don't know what's going to happen the next.
Yeah.
100. What do you mean you'd have to learn it's bad?
No, but that's what I mean.
Our
No,
instincts.
No, because I mean, like the beginning of humanity, human societies were cannibalistic. If you look at like tribes from the Amazon, Aztecs, they're cannibalistic. It's a development to learn
To be vegan.
eventually, it's not
Yeah.
like people started off being like, can I have soy milk?
Well, no,
Do you know what I mean?
No, what happened is they started as vegans because they were bad at hunting, and then they couldn't catch
Right,
anything. So they
but that's
turned,
like
they turned
that's
to
an-
cannibalism.
That's an involuntary vegan,
which is
like an incel,
yeah,
but for vegans.
in veg.
In veg,
In
right?
veg. In
I'd
veg.
ideally be eating meat,
Yeah.
but I can't.
But these sluts won't give it to me. These slutty pigs won't give me their pig flesh, so I've got to just go on a forum. Oh, I've got to eat tofu. I fucking hate it. I hate tofu. Involuntary vegans.
Yeah, in vegs.
Nothing more dangerous than an
Inveg.
inveg, because they become cannibals. Because they
Right.
go, I need meat. I need protein.
Yeah.
I feel weak,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna fucking eat my uncle. And I had this routine about like, what if it did become a thing? What would the cuts be? And I think the prime cut is the gooch. I think that's like sushi or like sashimi.
Well, maybe a foie gras
Melt
sort
in the
of.
mouth.
Was French, they'd be good with it.
No, the French would be making caviar out of like period eggs.
No, but with the gooch, it's a dirty little bit of meat, right?
No,
But it's very
no,
tender.
No, it's something they discover how to make nice. Like pork belly used to be just like bin that.
Yeah.
But then about 50 years ago, when they realised the flavour was in the fat, they were like, oh,
It's like the crown of a chicken. It's like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I think they'd use vaginas would be like oysters,
yeah.
and then you'd put lemon in it, and then you get
Yeah.
get a closed one, throw it
Yeah.
away.
What's the kind of the cheap cuts then?
Oh, it's obviously like the foot and
the heel.
Yeah, and then you'd stuff a.
Heel you'd make crackling, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you get a man like a supermarket chicken like this, and then you'd stuff his cavity with his balls, his dick.
You'd bean bung him.
You would bean bung a man, and they'd just be there in a supermarket freezer like that, just tied up, bean bunged, and it would say this man's been bean bunged.
Do you think you'd also like in fancy supermarkets? Would they have rotisserie men?
A bean bunged man just on a spike, yeah,
marinating.
I think the
what's the similar? Have you found out what human meat tastes like? What's it similar to?
Beef.
It's got to be like beef.
Yeah,
I'd say it's venison.
Gamey.
Softer.
I think
venison.
it's more gamey. Yeah.
I think it's probably close to venison. In that it's mainly beef. It's in the beef family.
Yeah,
but it's on the way.
So like a suckling man. You would have that on like a medieval banquet dinner table.
A suckling man.
Would you have like an apple in the mouth? I'd probably put a pear in.
But a suckling pig is a piglet, right?
Right.
So a suckling man would be like a 4-year-old that hasn't stopped breastfeeding and is really fat.
Mexico's fattest baby.
Super Antonio is a
No, we get Mexico's fattest baby.
Yeah.
We cook him to the point where he looks like a suckling pig. So it's all like the fat's all bursting and ready to like just crunch
lovely.
through. Then you put a corn cob in his mouth.
and up his ass. That's how he wipes his ass.
Well, that's in there anyway.
Yeah, Super Antonio for dinner.
And then you can serve it in the middle of a dinner party.
Yeah.
I don't mind seeing Heston Blumenthal give human cooking a go.
Yeah.
Like things that he'd be able to do.
Well, before he
a person inside a person inside a person. You know?
Well, it would be
an anorexic inside an obese person. You could get Dr. Christian from Supervised Size vs Super Skinny. You get him to collab with Heston Blumenthal. You make a sort of noughties TV revival.
Well, you'd get like Kate Moss inside Lizzo inside like a Channel 5 documentary.
Yeah.
Rick
inside
Waller.
Britain's fattest man.
Yeah. And then you'd serve it on a winch, and then you'd slice them all open.
And they're all different. Yeah.
And then the meat would get, I guess.
The more we talk about it, the more I can understand how you can maybe fall into cannibalism.
Do you know what? I think the Aztecs were. I think they were onto something.
I'm truly shocked by it. The 80,000 in 4 days.
Staggering.
Even with my research, I did not find that. That is crazy.
And would they eat any of the ones that they sacrificed? Charlie.
Look, Charlie's just tenderly looking at the other Charlie.
Yeah.
So yeah, they would eat like some of the people, but so it was religious. It was like a religious ritual, as well as some historians argue there was protein deficiency in their diet, and they made up for it by eating human flesh.
Right. I feel that's probably the case because you said like legumes and corn. Like that's not.
Well, this is my
not
point.
Pumping you up.
But this is my point. If you are vegan and you're looking at your, this is your third helping of legumes today, and then you look at some fat boy and you think, oh, do you know what? That Super Antonio is looking quite juicy today.
Well, yeah, it's sort of like in those. Was it in like Madagascar when the lion's hungry and the person turned into a slab of meat because he's so hungry? That's what happens to vegans when they don't get meat enough that you suddenly start looking like a
you're in the supermarket,
hot piece of ass.
You're in the free from aisle, and then you're looking over at some fat woman with 4 kids. You think, oh, and it just
stuff those 4 kids inside that fat woman.
Put that on a tray. Right, anyway. So, nobles and priests would perform auto-sacrifice. Oh, fuck, we haven't even got to this. So, a big thing that as a show of strength that the Aztecs would do is to get like a cactus thorn and just slice their dick open and be like, and just let some blood out and then be like, yeah, what do you think of that? Eh? I'm fucking mad, me.
Is that when someone challenges you?
I don't give a shit.
Is it when someone disrespects you and you show, do you just go, oh yeah? Well, you think I'm a pussy?
Yeah, it's literally in a pub. You knock someone's pint over and you go, you going to buy me another one? No, right. I've just cut my dick open.
Fair enough.
What do you think of that? And then you'd be like, yeah, fair play. I don't want to do that. I'll buy a pint. Yeah.
Auto-sacrifice. What's that?
That's cutting penis, piercing your penis with obsidian, bone needles, or stingray spines.
But that's not auto-sacrifice. Auto-sacrifice is suicide, is it not?
No, because you can give a blood sacrifice, can't you? That's just some blood.
Are you when you give blood?
It's quite funny
when you give blood to just give blood.
Yeah,
is that an auto-sacrifice?
Yeah, that's what I call it.
Right, fair enough.
Can I have a biscuit for auto-sacrificing myself? It's quite funny to kill yourself and call it an auto-sacrifice.
Yeah.
No, I'm not killing myself. I'm sacrificing myself to the god.
Okay, so it's not. Oh, fine.
Yeah, it's cutting yourself.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right. So self-harming is auto-sacrifice.
Yeah, I don't want to glorify this. We have a lot of young listeners. Although thankfully we don't have
But it hasn't rained in a while.
It hasn't rained in a while.
So emos. Get to it.
Listen. If you're watching Clarkson's Farm, the British farming is in a state.
Yeah, and do you know what? if you look at it, look at the demise of the emos in popular culture, and then now look at the globe's warming up.
Yes,
it's because there's not enough people listening to Blink 182 and self-harming.
Greta, it's not fossil fuels. It's that your kids aren't killing themselves. You heard it here first. Now, young priest trainees were drowned by being dragged through water by their hair whilst being beaten.
If they misbehaved.
If they misbehaved. Right, okay. So that sentence is structured quite strangely. And if they were poor swimmers, their parents could bribe the priests with turkeys. So there are lots of turkeys in Mexico.
Yes.
There's turkeys fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
Which, when you think of, get a picture up of a turkey. They're pretty
big fuckers.
They're fucked to look at. Big, horrible turkey.
Yeah.
Like, they're completely mad.
There's no such thing as a relaxed turkey, right?
No. They're fucking mental.
There's not one turkey who's ever had a day off.
Yeah, so the turkeys are native to Mexico. So the wild turkey. So a wild turkey is just going... I mean, when the Europeans arrive, they must be like, fuck that. What is that? Is it like a dinosaur chicken with a peacock? What on earth's going on? Fucking, I want to eat that.
So it's Christmas every day in Mexico, right?
It's Christmas every day. But they're not eating turkeys. They're eating some big babies. So this is interesting. So some of the sacrifices would be to specific gods, and they would dress someone up as one of the gods to be sacrificed, and for the year before they were sacrificed to this god, dressed as this god, they would be treated like a god. So they would basically just be given like
they're getting fattened for
slaughter. They would get women to fuck. They'd live in a temple. They'd live at like the top of the temple. They'd have.
Do they know they're about to get sacrificed?
Yeah, they're.
Oh right, so it's not like this is fucking brilliant.
Oh, glad. I've done really well out of life. No, they are basically like the deal with the devil you do is that you're like, okay, I'm going to be sacrificed in a year's time, but for the next year, I'm going to go out partying.
To be fair, life is so fucking shit. Would you just take one good year?
Yeah.
Over your shit life?
Yeah.
Because life then is rubbish.
Is it? I mean, you get to watch some pretty fucking wild stuff.
Yeah, but it could be you so easily.
No.
No, not you.
No.
This
is what's funny about it.
You're a punter.
I'm a punter.
Pint.
Snacks. What the fuck's going on over there? Fucking hell. 80,000 in a 4-day weekend.
I imagine there's loads of pyramids, right? You're at one pyramid and then you hear that there's another stage setting off. You're running, you've got a pie in your mouth.
Fuck. Oh, we're going to miss him. Oh, shit. Because what they did, right, is they start to realise that they need to sacrifice people for the sun to come up, but they don't want to sacrifice their own kids. So what's quite funny is that they fight wars, and there's this other region that they basically just like rape and pillage constantly to get people to sacrifice. So there's a sort of NIMBYism to sacrificing, which is quite funny.
Not in my backyard.
I'm not having not my own kids. Right. Anyway. So by 1519, which was, as we've discussed, is after the slipper is invented, and it's before the
brogue. Was one of the widest births I've given
Big
for a while.
10,000 years of history. Perfectly placed. By 1519, the Aztecs have this empire crowned by this beautiful floating city covered in dead bodies, bloods, and finger bones because they're eating everyone.
Yeah.
And the emperor is a guy called Montezuma. Is it Moctezuma or Montezuma?
It sort of looks like
both. Yeah. People call him by both, yeah.
Monty.
This is Monty. Monty rules over 6 million people. That sounds like quite a big number. I'd probably say it's a bit less than that.
Yeah, it does seem, because I've seen this many times, this number, and it just doesn't seem to work.
6 million is so many people.
It probably could be 6 million people because of how wide the amount of people who are just little bitches to them. Right?
Yes, yeah. So by 1519, this beautiful floating city, this garden city, this big shimmering petrol station in the middle of the lake.
Yeah.
200,000 people live there. It seems utterly invincible.
In the world that they live in, they are top dogs, alpha chads.
Because they're thick. Then Montezuma, he hears of some strange bearded men riding huge fat deer who belch fire and thunder, galloping towards him on his easternmost provinces.
The Spanish have arrived.
That was the most weak trail for a next episode of The Spanish have arrived. And if you'd like to... The Spanish are rocked up. Okay? If you'd like to hear the next episode and the rest of the 5 episodes of this series, you're in luck. They're already on our Patreon.
Unbelievable.
Or as the Aztecs would call it, the With £3 a month, you can become a truther and get access to every episode in one go, as well as a bonus episode every Friday. But either way, we will see you next time for the continuation of this story, this great story of the noble Spaniards saving cannibals from themselves. See you next time, and adios.
Or to sacrifice yourself.